Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 117 of Carmel's Wrestling Radio Relived. So excited. So excited. At Rich has behind him. Hi, Rich. How are you?
Hey Corbella, doing good. How you doing?
Good, good. You have behind you the legend that we have on our show today. He's not here yet, but we wanted to start a little bit early so Rich and I could just bring up a couple of things with regard to wrestling. Larry Zbyszko is a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. He is the living legend. He is an amazing person. We're excited about talking to him. We have a ton of questions to ask, so we just wanted to start a little earlier because we have a couple of things to say. First, I wanted to say, um, a lot of people have heard Obafemi speak in regular English, okay? And right away, the response is, oh my God, he's another Kofi Kingston. He sucks. He really doesn't have an accent. He lied, blah, 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 blah. Okay, listen. Number one, he does have an accent, okay? He was born in Lagos, Nigeria. He was there till he was 19 years old. It is a scientific medical fact that wherever you live when you go through puberty is the accent that you will have most likely for the rest of your life. So, yes, the accent he has is legitimate. Kofi Kingston may also still have a legitimate Jamaican accent. What he did was that people don't know and don't care to find out. He went to school in his multiple schoolings he went to. Okay. He learned how to speak like actors do. He learned how to speak regular English. Okay. If you listen to him speaking English, every once in a while, a word will come out like with a little Nigerian accent. So, yeah, he's not lying. He didn't do anything wrong. Okay. He does have an accent. And yes, he learned how to talk like that's like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson talks with an American accent. He's from Australia. At any time, he can go back to his Australian accent. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's just like when an English actor, or American actor rather, goes, does an English accent. That doesn't mean that they're faking or anything like that. It just means that that's what they're able to do. Obafemi has an incredible history behind him of education alone. Okay. So the guy is an artist. He is a shot put champion. He is a professional wrestler. He can change his accent anytime he wants. He's a very smart, very learned man. So leave him alone. What do you think about that, Rich?
Yeah, leave him alone.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, I don't understand why people always have to have something to say, with regard to people. Like right away, they're like, oh, no, he lied. He lied. It's ridiculous. Okay. So that's that. The other thing is, I wanted to say Jeannie was supposed to be on tonight. God bless her. I love her to death. But she's going through it right now. She's got some issues that she's dealing with. And she doesn't feel good. So she just couldn't do the podcast tonight. So I told her to go lay down and get some rest. And she's like, oh, I can jump on for a little bit. I'm like, no, you don't feel good. Go lay down. We'll have, thank you, God. We're going to have a lot more podcasts. So, she can be here whenever she wants. Between Rich and Jeannie, we'll be all right. And then if neither one of you can make it, guess what? I can do it on my own. Lord knows I can talk forever. All right. So I'm good like that. Um, so have you
Feel
been
better,
watching?
Gene.
Yeah, feel better, Jeannie. We love you. Have you been watching WWE and AEW, Rich?
Yeah, I have. I'm glad that you were going to talk about this briefly.
Yeah.
I'm a little disturbed that they feel like that they need to go back to another bloodline angle that seems to be taking up the majority of the creative on WWE, and they're crossing it over to SmackDown, and now they're going to have this other incarnation of this bloodline, and I think it's overkill. I mean, we dealt with bloodline for how many years? It was a great thing. Not saying anything against the whole angle, but I really thought it ran its course. And I really thought that when Roman became champion, that he would be able to defend the belt on his own, without his cousins, without any other uh, bloodline heritage, and just do it on his own. So I'm not real thrilled with the way they're going with this, but that's just my
Uh,
opinion.
that's okay. I agree with you. I think the bloodline thing has run its course. I think it's enough already. I don't know, and this is a terrible thing to say because I love Roman Reigns, but I don't think that if they either had the bloodline or the Shield, I don't think there's anything else they can really do with Roman. You know what I mean? I don't think Roman is in a position to have another story coming up because number one, he's a part-time champion. Yeah, he said you'll see my ass all summer long. That's fine. What happens after the summer? He'll be gone again because his kids go back to school. And I got to commend him for that. He wants to be with his children. I get that. He wants to be with his family. And Lord knows he's got enough money to be able to call the shots on that. But where does that leave the fans? You know what I mean? Yeah, what are they going to do? Create a story during the summer and then crash it in September and then make another story in May and go into June. You know what I mean? So I think as far as the Roman Reigns issue is, if he doesn't have a storyline with the bloodline or with the Shield, there really was no other storyline with Roman Reigns. So I don't know that they would be able to have another one with him. So I don't know. It's a little weird. I don't think it's cool. But AEW is leaving me with a little bit in my head here because they're trying. John Moxley's trying to switch Will Ospreay to go
Yes.
onto their side. So I don't know. We might see a little heel turn here with Will Ospreay. That is probably a good way for him to technically completely recover because if he stays a face, he's going to get his butt kicked all over the place. They're always going after his neck. I do think the neck thing is completely overdone right now. He came back. He was cleared to come back. I get a couple matches hurting his neck again. I get all that, but it's like every time somebody touches him, they obviously go for the neck, and right away he's completely down again. If you're going to be that down, it's going to happen that much. Even if you're going to fake it, then stay home. I love Will Ospreay. Don't get me wrong, but that's how I feel. Okay. As far as I heard rumors that Sasha Banks is supposed to be coming back to WWE. I don't know if you heard that, but that's what I heard. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Sasha Banks at all. So I don't know if she's going to be coming back or not, but if she does, what the angle is going to be with her. Already with Paige, she was here, she won the belts, but nothing really is happening with her right now. You're you're blinking in and out. What happened to you? What happened to you there, buddy? Now
right
you're
here.
gone. I know, but you're all right. You're fading in and out. Okay. Listen, our Hall of Famer is here. Oh my God, the legend is here. Everybody,
right.
I can't. I'm so excited. I am about to like cry. Okay, it is such an honor to have this man on. You have no idea. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's bring on the living legend, Larry Zbyszko. Hey, Larry, how are you?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm not a good computer guy, so I'm trying to set this thing up.
You look perfect, just like you are.
Okay, as long as you can hear me and see me, because I don't want to press any buttons, I'll mess it up.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh my God, it's such an honor to have you here. You have no idea.
I'm still here, so that's a good thing. Thank you. You're Carmela, right?
I'm Carmela, and this is my friend Rich.
And Richard.
Yes, he's doing the podcast with me today. My friend Jeannie, who does it with me normally, she's sick, so she couldn't do it. But Larry, I got to thank you again. I'm sorry for being such a pain in your butt, but I appreciate. I appreciate you're doing it for me. We have a ton of questions, if that's okay with you.
No goody. Only $10 a question.
Okay. Jeannie gave me questions before she went to lay down. She said to ask you, in 1985, you had a match with Larry Winters. Do you remember that match in Atlantic City?
You know what? After 10,000 matches, I really don't remember them all.
Okay.
It's hard to remember them all. I remember some of
Right.
the big matches, me and Bruno, me
Well,
and
we're going to talk
Saeed.
about Bruno. Yeah, we're going to talk
Yeah,
about Bruno.
me and
But
Saeed wrestled and sold out the Tokyo Dome with 66,000 people one day before the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight, which only
wow.
drew 33,000 people.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's amazing. That is
So I mean,
awesome.
it's hard to remember. I remember Larry Winters,
Of course. Yeah.
but God,
Well,
who knows?
she said that the top rope broke off during that match. Does that ring a bell at all?
No,
Okay, so how
so
how
much.
what memories do you have of Larry Winters? We're mentioning Larry Winters because he's a good friend of our show,
Yeah,
and
he's
he
a good
passed
guy,
away.
and I remember the name. But to be honest with you, with the 10,000 matches I could have had,
Yeah,
I don't remember little bits of every match. It's just impossible.
right. I know
Mm.
it's been tough. So you know what? Let's go this route. Why don't you tell us how you got started in wrestling?
Well, when I was 13, my dad, who was a international tax accountant for U.S. Steel,
Wow.
well, we were born in Chicago. He got transferred to Pittsburgh, where their headquarters were. And I was like 12, 13, finishing grade school. And that was the first time I ever saw professional wrestling. It was studio wrestling, and I saw it. And to make a long story short, it just grabbed me. And of
Okay.
course, it's ingrained in all human beings, the justice and the good guy beats the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I got into, and Bruno was such a gorilla. I mean, he kind of became my hero. Started the amateur wrestling, started karate, because I wanted to be a professional wrestler by watching studio wrestling.
Right.
But behind the scenes, emotionally, was the thought of beating bad guys and justice and all that
And
stuff.
the American way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you meet Bruno?
Well, that's interesting because when my mother was doing some volunteer work at the grade school we went to because her kids were getting older and she was bored, and she got Bruno's address,
Wow.
which had because one of his kids went there,
Right.
and it was maybe a few miles from my house. And when I was 16 and got my first piece of crap $300 Ford Falcon, I drive around, and when I went that direction, it was only a couple blocks out of the way to drive past Bruno's house, like a
Wow.
stalker.
Ah,
So one day as I'm driving by, Bruno's backyard had big hedges, like you could hardly see the backyard. And one day I was driving by, and through the hedges, I caught a glimpse of Bruno standing outside by his pool getting a suntan.
okay.
And I couldn't help it. I stopped the car. I crawled through these hedges like an idiot. And he's standing there by the pool looking over, and he sees this young guy crawling through his hedges, probably cracked him up. And I introduced myself, was very respectful. We had a talk. And that's how it got started.
He didn't ask you what you were doing in his hedges?
No, I just told him I'm a big fan. He knew I was a big fan,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a big fan. You're my hero, and blah, blah.
Aw.
And I told him about, he was impressed with my amateur background and stuff. And it was kind of a lucky time because he was starting to get not too old, but older. And he was such a big star that he didn't wrestle during the week at all the high school shows and smaller shows that the WWF would run.
Mhm.
He would just wrestle on the weekends in the big clubs, Spectrum, the Garden, the Boston Gardens, whatever,
Right.
all the big arenas.
Right.
So he was home in those days most of the week. And it just worked out where he let me start working out with him in his basement. He had a
Wow.
little gym, not much, just heavy dumbbells, a bench press. and he was into heavyweights. And long
Mhm.
story short, I started working out with him in his basement, and I worked my way up to I benched 465 and a half pounds
Wow.
when I was just getting ready to start. I must have weighed like 245,
Yeah.
21. That was my record, 465 and a half
Wow.
pounds. And that was in the days long before the steroid crap and all that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me ask you this. I said to you when I spoke to you on the phone one of the times that we spoke that you actually, in the ring, you actually resembled Bruno to a point where everybody thought you were related to him because your persona, your physical build, your method of wrestling, everything looked exactly like Bruno, like you
Yeah.
were, is that just because you worked out with him or like,
Well, part of it, I mean, I wrestled like he did because he was a good guy when I first started. And I resembled him kind of because I did the same workout he did, which, the heavy benches meant you had the big chest look.
yeah, I
And the
remember that.
dumbbells, we were doing curls with 80-pound dumbbells. So we didn't do a lot of reps. It wasn't nothing to do with bodybuilding where you wanted all the rips and
Right,
all that stuff. We wanted bulk. And
right,
to get that, you needed heavy weight. And I ate like a pig when I was young, a steak every night for dinner, protein shakes,
right.
but I got the same kind of look because I did the same workout.
Okay. So let me ask you a question then. At that point, when you got that body, you got that look that you wanted, um, did you ever want anything different or were you happy with that? I mean, you were good because Bruno looked like that, but I mean, did that work for you?
Oh, yeah, I was happy with that because, I mean, I looked good and had the big, thick chest look and all that. And back in those days, I mean, if you watch today, they got the cruiserweights, and even in some of the main events, you got guys that weigh 150 pounds,
Right.
160 pounds. God, my wrists are bigger than Dominic Mysterio's arms. What's
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doing in the ring? But back
That's
in
true.
those
Yeah.
days, it was 300 pounds of Ivan Koloff, 300 pounds of George Steele, 300 pounds of, God knows who. But it was a bigger man business
Right. Exactly.
than
It was.
it is today.
Right, you had people like Gorilla Monsoon,
Yeah.
you had people like that that were just larger people, Big John Studd, and
Yeah,
all these
and
people that just, like, did a lot of bulk. Back
yeah, they have
then
all big guys. But again,
yeah,
human nature, because it's human nature to root for the underdog. So if you were 250 pounds, which is a big guy,
right,
and you wrestled someone 300 pounds, you were you looked like the underdog.
right,
Holy God, they couldn't wait to buy a ticket. And back in those days, if you didn't sell a ticket, you didn't eat. It was different than
exactly.
today. No contracts.
Well, our show is based on a lot of old school. Okay, it's very old school, and we had a lot of conversation about what it was like for wrestlers who wrestled in your time, Bruno, Tony Parisi, Spiro Sarian, and how you guys had to take care of yourselves. There was no medical insurance. There was no pension. There was nothing like that compared to what these guys have today, And
Yeah.
you guys lived in cars and ate out of cans and ate together, like and that's where I came into the picture because my mom and dad, we brought wrestlers to our house all the time from Philly, and they ate at our house and slept at our house and stuff like that. So
That
they
was
had
nice.
somewhere to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, and then my mom passed away, and then I took over and I started doing all that. And then I started promoting and that kind of stuff. But tell me what it was like compared to what it is today. And would you
Well,
ever change anything about how you started, how you came into the business?
I wouldn't change anything because back in those days, that's what worked. You really had to know somebody. It was a closed shop. They didn't want guys in the business because they didn't want to lose their spot. There wasn't
Mhm.
a lot of, professional wrestlers, because they wanted to keep their jobs. I mean, back in those days, you mentioned injuries. If you blew a knee out, you're out of a job. The
Exactly.
territories didn't pay for your surgery. You're home rehabbing for 3 or 4 months. You're starving to death. You're dead meat.
Yeah, and not getting any income. These
Well,
guys
yeah.
now are still getting paid when they're on the show.
Well, yeah, the business has changed. And honestly, the WWE has become a great company. I mean, it's an awesome production. The fan base has changed. It's a different fans. Back in my days, they wanted to stab you. But nowadays, they appreciate the amazing athletes that are out there, and they're doing high risk. I mean, back in my day, no one's going to climb to the top turnbuckle, do a backflip in midair, and crash through the announcer table and steal chairs because you're getting hurt. You're out of business.
Right.
But nowadays, if you get hurt, the WWE pays for it. If you're home for months rehabbing, you're getting a check.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember working with a gentleman named Joel Goodhart? He was a TWA. He ran a lot of shows in the 80s.
God, to be honest with you, I really don't.
Okay.
I mean,
Because he had a question he wanted me to ask you as well. But I'm going to skip on that for now. I want to ask you another question. And Rich, jump in here because I'm not going to let you get in if you wait. Okay. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I can see that. And believe me, I have a ton of stuff I want to ask Larry because Larry, I'm just so honored to.
I know. I
I
got the chills.
Same here, Larry. I mean, I was born and raised in Philadelphia, and I kind of followed and started wrestling, being a fan of wrestling, similar in the same way that you said that you started out. Bruno was my childhood idol. And then when you came into the business, I mean, you reinvented yourself, Larry, so many different times. When you started out, you were so polite and passive. And then when you got into the angle where you said that you wanted to fight Bruno, and you could see that your personality was slowly beginning to change, and you could see a little more fire in your eyes, and it led into what I believe in. I don't care what anybody says. Your heel turn against Bruno was the greatest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling, in my opinion.
100% agreed.
Yeah,
nobody will tell me. No one will tell me anything.
It was done right, and especially for those days, the way it happened, and the fans got into it. And yeah,
what brought that on? Can you explain that or talk about that a little bit?
Well, just Bruno is getting to retire, and on one side of the coin, I was kind of getting lost in the shuffle of newer guys coming in. Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Macho Man, and whoever. And people would say, "Oh, it's Bruno's protege." So I had to make my own name for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the way that I could do it. So I just wouldn't be known as, "Oh, Bruno's protege. Where's Hulk Hogan?"
Yes, exactly.
To make my own character stick out in a new generation. Because the me and Bruno Shea Stadium match, when you look back at history, it really marked the end of the old school era.
It did.
Where nationwide cable started shortly after, and it was the death of the territories, and the whole business changed from the territories to nationwide television, and all the territories dying out, and then it became the war with WWE and WCW, and now the WWE was global.
Yeah.
They're on shows in Saudi Arabia, and the fans are just like, here, they love it.
Yeah, they do. They love it everywhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of all over the world, how did it come about for you to go to Japan? And what was it like for you wrestling in Japan compared to the United States?
Well, Bruno would, when I first Bruno would make calls. He'd call Baba and get me booked in Japan for 4 or 5 weeks. And it was an interesting experience. Japan was a very interesting, country. And when you walk through the street, you turn around and there'd be 20, 30 Japanese kids, all dressed the same in their school uniforms, following you around.
Aw.
And I got hooked on the pachinko games.
Yeah.
In Japan, they have these pachinko
Yep.
games where the balls come down and swallow. But it's a gambling hall. If you get so many balls, you could sneak out in the, cash in for prizes.
Uh-huh.
But you could also sneak out in the alley to a little window and hand them a slip, and they'd give you money if you win
Okay.
a bunch of ball.
Okay.
And so during the daytime, there wasn't much for me to do because I couldn't talk to anybody. I didn't, But I'd go to the pachinko parlor and have a great time. I'm hooked on pachinko.
Larry, you're funny. What was it harder to wrestle in Japan, or to be with the wrestlers in Japan compared to the wrestlers in the United States?
Well, it's basically the same. I mean, you really couldn't communicate with anybody. And back in those days, even in the United States, the good guys had a dressing room,
Right.
and the bad guys had a separate dressing room. So even no matter where you wrestled, you never saw your opponent. You were in separate dressing rooms. So,
Well, that was kayfabe was very strong back then,
yeah, well, it had to be to protect the business.
It had to be. Okay, I have a $64,000 question. I absolutely, long story short, I absolutely loved Dominic DeNucci. He actually, my father abandoned me when I was young, and Dominic stepped in like being my dad, and that's how close we were. What were your feelings about Dominic? Did you ever wrestle him? How did it feel working with him? What were your interactions with him?
Oh, God, you're asking me again. I mean, in terms of the wrestling, I probably had some matches with Dominic after I turned on Bruno.
Okay.
In the smaller clubs.
Okay.
But I really don't remember him. But personally, Dominic was a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great guy, really nice guy and helpful. And one of the guys that, taught me stuff, I learned stuff from Bruno, from Dominic DeNucci, from Parisi, even from Monsoon and Skolin and Panini. And because I was Bruno's protege, they kind of took me under their wing and told me stuff they wouldn't tell anybody else.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I know Bruno and Dominic were very best friends. I do remember that.
Yeah, he lived right down the street out of Pittsburgh, not far.
Yeah, exactly. Rich, were you going to say something?
Yeah, and it's funny. It wasn't just Bruno you turned on; it was Tony Garea that you turned on because you were tag right. You were tag team champions, and then after you turned on Bruno, and Tony's at the announcer thing saying, "Oh, I don't know what's gotten into Larry," and then he goes up the ringside, and then you just pummel him. I thought that was great. But going back to the Shea Stadium match, I wanted to ask you this question because I always wondered this. After the match was over and you were both outside of the steel cage and you were down on the AstroTurf or whatever, because it was at Shea Stadium, you raised Bruno's hand begrudgingly, and then you just put it down. And my question is, was that planned or was that spontaneous on your part?
No, it wasn't planned. It was kind of a weird circumstance, and Bruno didn't know anything about it. He was in shock. What are you doing? And nailed me. But there was a guy I knew in New York that was a producer. He made commercials and did some movies. He made the Jordache jeans commercials, famous back in the old days.
Okay.
With some woman riding a horse at Jordache jeans. And he said, look, I want to make a documentary on this. After the match, no matter who wins or who loses, can you try to make it look like, you're making up with Bruno, and I'll film it. So I thought there might be some documentary on it, but that was a mistake.
Yeah.
So it never happened. But I tried to make it, but it didn't happen. I just blocked that out of my mind.
Well, I've always known Bruno to be, I've said this on a previous podcast. I've known Bruno since I was a child, and he always called me a pest. I was always a little pest. And but Bruno was always very, very proper. He was always very respectful. He was always proper. He always did the right things. Like if somebody took a picture of him and he was at a table that had a wine bottle there, he would make them wait, take the wine bottle off the table because he didn't want to give the wrong impression to the children who might see that picture. That doesn't happen anymore. But did you find Bruno to be like that all the time? Like, was he that kind of a guy?
Yeah, Bruno naturally was a very humble guy. He was a very honest guy. I mean, his word was his contract.
Yeah.
And he was very thankful to be in this country and have the opportunity, because when he was a little kid, him and his little brother and their mother, who got shot in the leg, running through the mountains, trying to escape, out of Italy during World War II. And when he made it to this country, he was almost starving to death and suffering from malnutrition. Because they lived on the run in the woods trying to escape the Nazis.
Yeah.
And he was very thankful for his opportunity in the land. We live in the land of freedom, but was a very humble, genuinely nice guy. He wasn't putting on some show so the fans would like him. He was really like that.
Yeah, he was a good guy. Okay, let's get back to you for a minute now. It's Bruno, God bless him, but we're going to leave him go for a minute. Obviously, everybody knows your last name's not Zbyszko. How did you get that name?
Bruno gave it to me.
Where did it? How did he think of? I figured he might have called you like I don't know, Symbiano or some Italian name. Like, where did Zbyszko come from?
No, just I'm Polish.
Okay,
because I was raised in the day of the Polak jokes. Years before even Bruno started, there was a famous wrestler named Stanislaus Zbyszko.
Okay, all right. That name sounds
familiar.
Zbyszko. But Stanislaus Zbyszko, who was also seen in a movie with Richard Widmark called Night in the City, an old movie. But he was a tough guy from Poland, and Zbyszko was a famous Polish wrestling name back in those days.
Right.
So Bruno gave me the famous Polish name, Zbyszko.
Okay, and is that how he spelled it? Exactly the way you spell yours?
Yeah, I spell it the same way Stanislaus did.
Okay. That's funny because that's one of the hardest names, I got to tell you, that I've ever had to spell in my life.
I wish my last name was Lee, because whenever you sign a bunch of autographs, I'll
That must have killed you signing Zbyszko on so many autographs it had to. Yeah. That's crazy. Is it all right if we talk a little bit about your relationship with David, Bruno's son?
Yeah, there wasn't really much of a relationship. When I was working out with Bruno, David was going to school. He was a lot younger.
Yeah.
And when he started, David San Martino, I think emotionally he might have got kind of depressed or strained. The thing with David was he was very good in the ring. I had a couple of matches with him that were great, but the way he looked, he didn't look like Bruno's son. Bruno looked like a gorilla, and David didn't. And it was hard for the fans to get into David the way he hoped they would.
Right.
And I think he got totally frustrated with it. And thank God he wound up with a real job and disappeared. I haven't talked to David in 40 years. You have no idea.
He's actually a trainer. He is living in Georgia. He's married. He has grandchildren. And he had one daughter, I believe. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm asking you this because David and I were very close. I haven't talked to him in a few years either, but he used to stay at my house also, and we talked a lot about Bruno and his relationship, and I talked to Bruno about Bruno and David's relationship. So, and needless to say, my relationship with my father was very, very strained, and we kind of shared that in common because, it is what it is. Not every family gets along, and that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, but they got along. But I just think David just emotionally couldn't fit the part. Really, in those days, nobody could fill Bruno's shoes because he was so ridiculously over and looked the part. Then they put Bob Backlund in, which was a joke.
Yeah, yeah,
We all
yeah.
called him Howdy Doody.
I know they did. Oh my God, that's so funny.
But I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it was just hard, and David just couldn't. It's just too frustrated. But at least it sounds he's got grandkids. God bless him. So
yeah. He's doing real good. He's all real thin now. He's a trainer. He's
good,
actually semi-retired now, but he
good.
is doing good. So let's go back to you again. Tell me, if you had to pick right now three of your toughest opponents, who would they be?
Well, Bruno obviously was like a gorilla. I had a hell of a matches with Masa Saito
Right.
in Japan. Like I told you, he was tough. The Japanese were all tough guys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I wrestled Nick Bockwinkel a bunch of times. He was tough in the ring, very
He was tough.
smooth.
Yeah, he
He
was
knew
tough.
the business. Yeah, Bockwinkel. And I wrestled Harley Race, I think, one time. He was already getting a little older, but still very, sharp in the ring. It was his life.
Yeah. How old were you when you actually went into the WWF and wrestled, when you started wrestling
I
there?
think when I started, it was 1973. I was probably 21. And I
Okay.
went in there a little bit, but then Bruno made some calls, and I wound up going to Vancouver, British Columbia with Gene Kaninsky. And then I think a little bit in Florida. Bruno sent me to a couple of places because he wanted me to learn.
Right.
Because back then, there was no wrestling schools. I mean, my God, there's
No.
100,000 wrestling schools nowadays.
Right.
But there was no school, so he wanted me to get experience. So when he brought me back into the WWF, I knew what I was doing.
Well, we had Davey O'Hannon on a
Oh,
couple of
yeah.
times, and he told us, obviously there were no schools back then, but he told us that he himself learned how to wrestle along with a lot of other wrestlers, learned how to wrestle actually in the ring. Like,
Yeah.
you went in the ring, you knew what the ending might be or who was going to win, but you didn't know how to get there. And it was like they talked to each other during the matches. And Davey said that he was hurt pretty bad at one time, which is actually how he met Dominic. Dominic was always one to make a joke, and like Davey O'Hannon hurt himself. And when he came out, he was in a stretcher, and Dominic looked at him and he said, "Oh, what's the matter? You hurt yourself?" Like a big joke. And it was funny. But Dominic was also, I felt like Dominic wasn't pushed as much as he could have been in the WWF. I think he had a
Especially
lot
in later
more.
years.
Yeah, I think he had a lot more to
Especially-
offer. Yeah, Rich, go ahead. You have any more questions?
Oh,
I'm going to jump. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to kill it. I'm no, you know me. I mean, even Larry knows
Well, then
that. I
I'm-
don't shut up.
Yeah, Carmelo's on a roll here.
I know. I love
Yeah,
this.
well, all right, all right. I'm going to try to get on some kind of a roll, but I know Carmela's is going to jump in. So I'm curious as to what you felt were some of the main differences, like after you left WWF, after the Bruno program was complete. You went to AWA, and then later on WCW, where you were more or less the commentator for Monday Nitro. I'm just curious as to what the dynamics were between working in those different federations.
Well, in the days of the territories, it was basically the same. And what happened was, after the me and Bruno thing, the business changed. Went from the territories, and then nationwide cable started. And Vince Jr. was the first promoter, the new young guy, in the block, that saw it coming.
Right.
Vern Gagne and the Crockett's, they really didn't see the new era coming, because for years they were promoting, they were millionaires. They didn't think much of it. And before they knew it, Vince was running Chicago and Minneapolis, Vern stuff. And he was running Charlotte and Atlanta and wherever, the Crockett stuff. And things started changing where pretty soon, there was no contract. So, Vince would take Hulk Hogan, Bobby Heenan, Mean Gene, Jesse the Body, and someone else from the AWA. And then he'd get Macho Man and Roddy Piper and Jimmy Snuka or something from the NWA, and bring them all up to the WWF. I guess they changed it, the WWF. And that left the AWA and the NWA with like, oh damn, what's going on here? We need somebody. And I was so well known because all the publicity came out of New York in those days.
Right.
So I could pick up the phone. And so I went to the AWA because they really needed new faces because they went to Vince. And then I went to the NWA. So I was hopping up and back a couple times a little bit. And then finally Vern shut down, thank God. And then the Crockett's mother, who held the purse strings, she sold out because the Crockett's were losing money flying around their private jets. And she stopped all that and sold out to Turner. And WCW was born. And that was the beginning of the two nationwide cable wars, the WWE and WCW.
Right.
And I was with the NWA at the time, probably, or maybe they, I don't remember. But I wound up getting a call to come to work for Turner. And that was the time when the big contracts were starting. You know, they come in and say, hey, we'll give you 250 grand a year. What?
Exactly.
You'll say, like, what? I mean,
Yeah.
it was a whole different world.
Yeah, that was unheard of back then.
Yeah, so I wound up going to wrestle WCW. And then I never planned on the broadcasting. That was a luck out weird deal. But that gave me another 10-year run when I was already like 41, 42, and had a couple of knee surgeries. So it really saved my body, and I could go out in style without getting killed, but still being seen by a new generation, you know, on the TV. And I'm the one that programmed the New World Order and named the New World Order and made the wrestling.
Really? Was that you?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was you.
Wait a minute. Tell us about that, Larry. We didn't know that was you.
Well, Bischoff came from the AWA.
Okay.
Right.
And he was there starting when I was there. And I kind of helped him get into the Turner thing when Vern shut down. And I'm a private pilot. I flew little planes all over the country. And Eric, I took him with me a couple of times. He got a private pilot's license and he applied for a job and, and got it. And when I was doing the commentary, it was it wasn't my idea, but I saw it coming where they did what Vince did. They brought, Scott Hall in and, they started taking some guys and then all the contracts became a big deal so people couldn't steal your talent. Mm-hmm. And that. But when I was doing the commentary, I kept saying, oh my God, we're having an invasion. There's going to be a new world order here. And when Eric heard it a few times, he said, yeah, the new world order, that's the name. So he decided to call it the New World Order.
Wow.
So I influenced the name, and then it got so hot, Eric wanted to get involved. And he did a great job. People hated him.
Yeah.
And I programmed, me wrestling Bischoff to save Nitro from the New World Order. And people wanted to see me and Hall. I built that up. So I wrestled Scott Hall from the broadcast booth. And actually, me and Bischoff, me and Hall, that was two of the biggest pay-per-views WCW ever did.
Yeah. It's incredible. Like, we had no idea that you had done all this stuff. This is awesome.
Well, I wasn't in the office, but I had Eric's ear because we went back and I'd tell him stuff and he'd listen. And then after it got hot, then there was 20 guys in his ear,
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. So let me ask you, I believe we heard that you had originally wanted to become someone in law enforcement. Is that correct?
Well, when I was young, you're watching wrestling again, back in my day in the 50s, all the TV shows, it was always the good triumphing over evil. And you wanted justice. You want freedom. You want people to live happy ever after and not worry about getting robbed or mugged or raped or killed or whatever. And I seriously kind of looked in as I was getting to the end of college. I got a degree in law enforcement and corrections.
Okay.
And I had a friend of mine who was a Pennsylvania State patrolman. And I wanted in my head, I said, well, it would be cool to be a homicide detective, catch the murderer, and get him in a gas chamber.
Whoa.
Well, we'll scare the hell out of them. What the
Yeah.
hell's this death row? You murder somebody, we're going to put you on death row for 40 years and pay for your food and pay for your Medicare and
Yeah, and pay for
just take
everything.
them out and hang them. They're murderers.
Exactly.
You know what I realized when I talked to him and realized what you had to go through to become a homicide detective and work your way up? I really didn't have the courage. People don't
Really?
realize how much courage it takes to be a good cop. If I stopped somebody who I knew was a scumbag and I told them to freeze, if they coughed funny, I would have shot them
Yeah.
out of fear for myself, not
Right.
justice. And I said, you know what? Let me go talk to Bruno. So I thought
That's a
about
lot
it.
less dangerous.
Got a degree in law enforcement and corrections, believe in justice, believe in the death penalty, and really, people don't really realize how much courage it takes to be a good cop.
Well, it's funny. I work in law enforcement now. And I'm telling you, those officers that I work with are incredible, incredible people, especially to be a law enforcement officer in this day and age.
Yeah.
It's definitely not easy. Definitely
No,
not.
I mean, they put their life on the line every day.
Yeah, for real. It's like
Yeah.
it's definitely not anything that has any kayfabe to it. That's for sure. It's
No,
a whole
no,
different
no.
world. Yeah, exactly. We have another question here. It says, when Bruno inducted you into the Hall of Fame, was that something that you wanted, or is that just they told you that he was going to do it? Would
No,
you
I
have
mean, I
asked?
definitely would have loved that. Bruno's getting older, but they asked him, I asked him, and he said, yes, he'll do it. And I was thrilled. I mean, it was like the end of a dream come true. My hero, you know, inducted me into the Hall of Fame. My Hall of Fame ring is one of my most prized possessions.
Oh, yeah,
And yeah, it was
you
a
earned
great
it.
one.
You deserve it.
Oh, for
And
sure.
I'm sorry, Rich, go ahead.
Did you stay in touch over the years with Bruno after
Oh
after
yeah,
the
yeah, we
annual?
stay in touch all the time.
Mhm.
He's a really, really good guy. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, or he was a really good guy. Carol just passed away in March.
I
We
heard
just
that the
found,
other day,
yeah,
96.
yeah, we just
My
found out.
dad's going
So
to be 97 next month.
I know you were telling me. God bless him. God bless him. That is
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. I did want to ask you something else with regard to Bruno. If you had it to do all over again now, would you have changed anything with regard to your relationship with Bruno?
Well, probably not. I mean, it was perfect. I mean, he was my hero and he was nice enough to help me out, work out with me, teach me the psychology, pull off the biggest angle of the old school. I mean, what could be better? Hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
as a wrestling fan and someone who has never been in the business, Bruno was my hero too, and he
Yeah,
was
I
my
mean,
hero. He was my hero since I was 8 years old.
he was the
Um,
perfect hero. He looked the
yeah,
part, he talked the part, and people realized he really was a great, nice, honest, loving natured guy.
Yeah, none of that was fake. None of
No,
that was fake.
none
You
of
know,
that
it's
was fake.
it's funny. I know in Pittsburgh you guys had a ringside Rosie, okay?
Oh, yeah.
We'd had one in Philadelphia too, and that was my mom. And my mom literally would have killed somebody if they said anything bad about Bruno.
No,
Bruno and my mom, my mom and Bruno were like this. I mean, they were always, Bruno
people
was at
tried
my
to kill
house.
me. I was stabbed in the ass. I was shot at,
Yeah, I
leaving
wanted
the
to ask you
building.
about that. Yeah, weren't you fighting Ivan Putski when that happened, when you got stabbed,
Well, there
right?
was a riot, yeah, me and Putski. And that was weird because I'm wrestling Putski, right? And there's some idiot on the front row who was like an a-hole.
Yeah,
And he was rooting for me, the bad guy everybody hated.
right.
And he kept saying, hey, Putski, your mother's ugly. And Putski ignored him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he'd say something like, hey, Putski, I slept with your wife. Ah! I mean, Putski ignored him. We kept working. Finally, this guy yells out, "Hey, Putski, you're short." Well, Putski lost it. Jumped out of the ring.
That's what made him mad, right?
Yeah, started punching the guy. Guys tried to break it
Oh
up.
my.
But I was hating. Some guys came in the ring to try to get me, and I left the ring. And one of the secrets was if you started a riot to get back to the dressing room was to act crazy. So people would, go, what, so they wouldn't just run up and hit you.
Wow.
So I was walking back, and all of a sudden I feel this knock on my head. And I look over, I grab some guy, I was going to hit him. And it was some old guy that hit me over the head with an umbrella.
Oh.
So I let him go. But a couple
Aw.
steps later, it felt like someone kicked me in the butt. And
Wow.
I kept going, acting crazy. And I got to the dressing room, and Skolin was playing cribbage with Andre.
Right.
And he said, "Well, it sounded great." And I go, "Yeah, another riot." And I
That's
said, "But
crazy.
God, someone kicked me in the butt here." And I put my hand back, and I went, "What the hell is this?" And I pulled out a blade
Oh my God.
6 inches long. They used to have in the old days those like Japanese knives that were like a piece of wood.
Yeah.
One was a handle, and you'd slide the blade in the longer piece of wood. And when I turned to hit the guy, I broke the blade off. So I
Wow.
pulled out. The scary part was going to the hospital to get a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
That's what scared me more than anything.
Yeah. The
Hitch
shot.
shots. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, did you have to get stitches too?
No, it was just a stand. They just gave me a shot. And it wasn't a big, slice. It was just a stab with a little long, skinny blade.
Well, it's funny. When I was a young kid, I was 12 in Philadelphia. There was something similar. We were all standing around the ring, leaning on the apron and having a great time. My mom and all that. And all of a sudden, I was screaming. I think it was Tony Garea was in the ring. And all of a sudden, I felt my head go down. Like you said, it just felt like something hit me. I thought somebody just threw something. And then I felt it was like wet. And I'm like, oh God, somebody spit at me or threw soda or something. I go like this. My hand has all blood. All of a sudden there's blood all coming down my face. Somebody hit me in the head with a bottle. And I wound up going to the hospital. I had to get 5 stitches. But it's like we have some war wounds that we can share now too. That's crazy. But that's scary.
I was lucky.
Yeah. What was it like to be? Were you friends with Ivan? Were you friends with Ivan Putski?
I never spent a lot of time with him, to be honest with you, because again, in those days, the bad guys were in one room, the good guys were in another. You weren't allowed to drive with each other in the car and all that. So you really didn't. I really didn't hang out with guys, and I never drank alcohol my whole life. I never went to the bars afterwards. Like I said, as a private pilot, I just wanted to get some sleep. I couldn't wait to take off. I flew all over the country for 25 years, town to town. That was great.
Now, wait a minute. Is that how you got to different shows? You flew yourself over?
A lot of times, yeah.
Really? You had your own plane?
Well, I'd rent them, depending what territory I was in. And if it was just me, I'd rent 150 horsepower. Back then, it was like $30 an hour. If I took 1 or 2 guys with me, I'd get a 180 horsepower plane that would carry more weight. It was $40 an hour. And we'd
That's crazy.
As soon as you start the engine, the clock would tick. They wouldn't charge you when it was parked.
Right.
But then after the show, I'd go to the airport, I'd take off, and I'd be in bed by midnight, and the other guys would just be getting home at 4 a.m. from driving.
Right. That's crazy. So how did your family deal with you being on the road so much?
Well, that was a tough part. I mean, the old guys would tell you, they give you advice and say, look, don't get married.
Yeah.
It's, when you're young, don't get married because it's hard. You're never home. You're in a different town every night. Hey, I'm going to Japan for 5 weeks. See you in a month and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, so it wasn't a life really to be married in those days.
But were you married back then? Were you married then? Yeah.
Well, I mean, not right away, but I was. And we wound up getting a nice, friendly divorce. She just cracked because I was never there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get it.
Larry,
It's hard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
Larry, thanks. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, Larry. You're talking about Bob Backlund and Howdy Doody, right? And he was, and he was WWF champion for 5 years because Vince Senior wanted the All American Boy. My question is, do you feel like that you should have been given an opportunity to hold, one of the major belts in
No,
WWF? Because
I
if
tried.
yeah,
I tried. I actually tried to get a match with Backlund for the belt. But the thing was, I mean, this is hard to understand. It's a long story, but in a nutshell, when Bruno was there on top with the belt, Bruno basically booked himself. He told Vince Sr., I want to bring this guy in, and this guy's big, 300-pound George, so we'll make money. I want to
Right.
bring this guy in, Ivan Koloff, we're going to make money. And Vince Sr. really couldn't argue with him because Bruno made him money.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
it got to a point when Bruno was retired that the McMahons, Vince wanted to run his own business because Bruno was basically running the business, the top level of the business.
Mhm.
And Bob Backlund was a great guy, was a great athlete, but what they wanted was a puppet. They'd say jump, Bob Backlund would say how high. Because
Okay.
Bruno was running everything
Right.
that meant anything
Right.
for years. So the McMahons finally, they just wanted someone they could control and they could tell what to do. And Bob was the
did
guy, but the fans
yeah.
just didn't buy him. I mean,
No,
No.
did Bruno have to kind of sign off and bless for Bob Backlund, to be champion after Superstar Billy Graham? Did he have any say in that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. That was a McMahon thing. I think Bruno by that time was getting ready to retire and
Okay. What was your relationship with Vince McMahon Jr.?
well, it wasn't. It was nice. I mean, it wasn't really that long because I left. When the territories were dying, like I said, with the AWA, NWA, because a bunch of new guys were coming in, and they were full, and I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle. And then, unfortunately, Senior passed away, and Vince took over, and made a great company. But then I never went back because I was doing this and that, and then wound up with WCW. So I really never was around Vince Jr. a lot when he was, building the WWE. But we got along great at the Hall of Fame when I saw him and when I was at the WrestleManias. It was very nostalgic seeing him
Yeah. I bet.
again.
Yeah, I bet it was. What did you do when you finally quit wrestling? Did you just retire or did you take on other jobs like other wrestlers did sometimes?
No, I just kind of retired. And then I did calls all the time to go out and sign autographs at Comic-Cons and conventions and
Do you still
stuff
do
like
that, Larry?
what?
Do you still do that?
Not much. Once in a while. I mean, if someone's dumb enough to pay me what I want, great.
Don't
I'm
say
just,
dumb
I'm
enough.
just getting too old. I mean, my God, I went golfing last week. My lower back was sore. So I don't
Yeah.
do too many. I got one guy called me, and I'm going to go up to St. Augustine, June 6th and June 7th. They got a 2-day WrestleCon signing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's an hour and a half away from me, right up the highway. I live in
Mhm.
Orlando.
Okay. That's
So
good.
someone's going to pick me up, drive me there, and put me in a
Hey.
Marriott. So for a couple of days, I'm going to do a signing, meet some fans. I like being there and talking to the fans and that, but I hate flying around anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like the good old days. You
No.
go to Orlando Airport, good luck finding a parking spot.
Yeah. Forget
When
it.
you get there and you're delayed an hour, I never take connecting flights because
I
you'll get
hate that.
stuck.
Yeah.
I never take them.
Yeah.
So
I don't like
raise
that
my
either.
price, direct flights, first class, 1 or 2 days, and then we'll talk about the money. But I hate flying around anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't need the money. I mean, I've been lucky and
God bless you.
not a splurger. I don't. When you get to my age, 74 and a half, I got clothes, I got shoes, I got a few watches. I can't think of anything to buy myself. I don't
I
spend
know.
money. I give them my grandkids, kids need help with rent, right? So I
I
got
know.
Social Security and some royalties coming from the WWE. God bless them.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
you know,
never buy anything.
yeah. What's funny, I am 68 years old, and I told you on the phone, I've had a lot of physical jobs.
Yeah,
And I'm going through like my own stuff where like I can't walk for a long period of time, I can't stand for a long period of time. It gets difficult no matter who
yeah,
you are at when
yeah.
as you get older, but especially being a wrestler,
Yeah,
that
it's
stuff's got to wreak havoc.
yeah. I mean, I've had 4 knee scopes and slammed them back, and I've been lucky. But like you said, if you walk too much, knee, yeah,
Yeah,
it's natural, and that's another long story. But the body we're in is a temporary vehicle.
that's
We're
true.
human, we're beings, and we're actually light plasma conscious energy. We're immortal. And we come to the third dimension, a dimension of mass, to experience life in this dimension. Unfortunately, we're in the Iron Age, which is the worst. That's why there's wars and all these efforts to keep people divided. Oh, you got this God, you got that God. We hate you. Oh, you got that God.
Yeah,
We must kill you in the name of God.
yeah.
And they're black, white, brown, yellow, red, blue. Oh my God. And they got all this crap, which is nonsense. We're all the same.
Yeah, we are. We really are.
Yeah, and the
So
body's a temporary vehicle, but we're
it
not
is.
here to suffer. I mean, I'm not here to break no record. I'm gonna be 90, but you
Yeah.
sit in a wheelchair in a diaper
No.
with a
Yeah, no.
colostomy bag. That's not life to me.
No, it's not. But you know what? I got to tell you honestly, listening to you, you are one of the few people that I've met or that I know that has actually lived his real dream.
Yeah,
It sounds like you have lived a perfect dream, and I think that is
yeah.
beyond exceptional. I think
I
that's
had a
amazing.
great life experience that I wanted. It worked out good. I can't complain. I mean, okay, another 3, 4, 5, 10 years. See ya, but I'm not suffering. Goodbye. I'm
Yep.
going back to heaven. We all just go up. We
And
actually come, our natural habitat right now is the center of this galaxy. That's where all the light plasma conscious energy, and we're all a part of it, a drop in the ocean of all the energy.
so where did you
So,
learn about all this plasma stuff? I mean, is that just
all
something that
light plasma, and you know what? When the computers first came out, I'm not a computer guy, but it gave me a chance. For hours, I'd study ancient mythology and guys. I mean, if you watch the show Ancient Aliens, and they
okay.
say, hey, look at aliens came down and they moved this 2,000-ton piece of rock up the side of a mountain and made a wall out of a bunch of them. We couldn't do that today.
We
But the
can't.
reality is, there's no aliens. They didn't build stuff and go away.
No.
Ancient humanity did when we lived in the golden age. So if you watch Ancient Aliens and erase aliens and put in ancient humanity, you'll get the answer to reality. They talk about light beings and then they switch it around to where all the light beings are gods. How many gods you got out there? But we're the light beings ancient mythology talked about because we're light plasma energy. Light has no mass. But
And you
we're
know what? I would love to sit. I could talk to you
yeah, I
for
mean
hours about that.
yeah,
I mean,
it is a
I'm
very long smartening up conversation.
right. So let me just ask you a question about that. How did the pyramids and the sphinxes and all that? How did that get built? How do you think it got built?
Well, ancient humanity built that. If you look at the pyramids, they were ancient power plants. The way that things are designed inside, where chemicals would come down, mixed together. The top of them were a gold, at the very top of the point,
Hmm.
the gold which was stolen over the centuries. But they all had a golden top because gold is a great conductor of electricity.
Okay.
Ancient man just created energy machines. You know, I mean, and then when you read the ancient mythology, which got all screwed up by liars and parasites and the Iron Age that we've been through, because we've been here a long time.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, it was built to honor the gods." But it wasn't no gods. It was built for energy power plants. You idiot.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but you know what? If I'm going to ask you this, and I want to see if maybe one day when you're not too busy, I can give you a call again. I would love to talk about this with you. I really
If
would.
my
I would love
battery
to.
could last that long.
Because I can come up with a ton of questions when it's something I'm really interested in.
Well, you can,
Um,
look up a guy. His name is a couple of them, but one guy's name is John Lamb, Lamb, Lash, Lash. John
okay,
Lamb Lash. I think he
okay,
recently died. He wrote a book called Not in His Image. Because anyway, but
okay,
listen to John Lamb Lash on YouTube. And there's another guy who talks about the archons, who are parasites that have influence in the Iron Age, an age of density. Iron stands for density.
okay.
And his name's Jay Widener. But John Lamb Lash, you can listen to him and I'll give you a good start.
I'm gonna do that. I am gonna because I'm interested in all that stuff. I love mythology. I love history. I love all that stuff, and I am gonna do that. I'm gonna look
And
into
the
it.
truth, because the truth has been hidden from humanity.
Yeah, I would love to know what that is. I want to tell you, if you right now had somebody said to you right now, what do you feel your legacy is that you're going to leave behind? What do you think that is?
Well, just the grandkids. I don't know what legacy but I'm leaving behind more Zbyszkos.
There you go. More Zbyszkos. How many grandchildren do you have?
Oh God, 4.
God bless. God bless. And they, I'm
One's
sure.
22, so
What's that?
one's 22, and the youngest one's like a year and a half.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I bet they keep you busy.
Well, yeah, but they don't live around here, so I don't have to
Okay.
do any work.
Ah!
Well,
they call you Pop Pop?
Oh yeah, Dada, Papa Larry.
Oh, that's nice. Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry.
from my side of the coin, just being a wrestling fan, your legacy to me is being involved in the greatest wrestling angle of all time. There's just
thank you.
nothing even remotely comes close to it. And I was at every one of the matches that you had at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and there were thousands outside the door trying to get in.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just incredible.
Even Shea Stadium turned
Yeah.
away 5,000-6,000 people because they wouldn't let them put chairs on the infield and the outfield because they figured the chairs would dig up the grass and mess up,
Exactly. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stadium.
I'm gonna jump in here and say I think the legacy that you're leaving behind, in my opinion, okay, is that you are one of the people in the world that has lived your perfect dream, perfect dream. And not a lot of people can say that. You got to meet your hero, you trained with them, you worked with him. That was like an amazing thing for you. You did what you wanted to do. You became who you wanted to become. You're leaving a legacy. You're in the Hall of Fame. You are an incredible, and you truly are a living legend, Larry. I mean, truly.
Thank you. And I hope everybody can do it and everybody realize they can make their dream come true. You just have to go after it. You can't sit home and hope it happens.
Exactly. Well, I'm too old for that to happen now, but I got to be honest. I lived a decent life with regard to wrestling. It's what I've enjoyed so much of it. I became a promoter, a booker. I had wrestlers at my house constantly. I was always involved in wrestling. I'm the first woman in the world to have a talk show on the radio about professional wrestling in the 80s. I'm also in a Hall of Fame. So yeah, I feel like I have lived a good life in regard to the wrestling. I mean, life is difficult in general. It really is. But
it shouldn't be, but it is in the Iron Age.
It is, and that's where we are now, right? Are we in the Iron now?
We're getting towards the end of the Iron Age, and there'll be another extinction level event. Mother Nature has her cycles, which has to do with our solar system's orbit around the galaxy. John Lamb Lash.
John Lamb Lash. Okay, what comes after the Iron Age, and that'll be it.
the golden age. We'll be back in the golden age.
Golden age. Okay.
We'll be closest to the center of the galaxy. Look at all the energy.
All right. Well, don't be
And
surprised
the
if I call you.
parasites can't exist. Parasites, look at this. Boo on me. Boo on me.
I love it. I
remember
love
that.
it. I know. I do too. I remember that. I love it. I love it.
You know what? I just got to tell a quickie because
Absolutely. Take your time.
in 1980, when everybody hated me, I had some friends making a sound studio and asked me if I'd help them and sing some song.
Right.
So I said, yeah, what the hell? So I wrote and sung this song, one take, Boo on Me. And never did nothing with it. Some people know about it. I think it's on
remember
YouTube.
that. I
1980.
remember that. Yes.
And then one of the guys at Pro Wrestling Tees that make T-shirts for wrestlers, and the fans can order one. One of the guys there said, "Hey, let's make a Boo on Me shirt." So he sent me this one.
Wow.
And if you want a Boo on Me T-shirt, you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees.
Pro Wrestling Tees. Okay, everybody.
And you know what?
Boo on Me.
It's bright yellow with the black. I'd like to see a whole bunch of people at the TV tapings because you'll stick out with the yellow.
Yeah.
Saying, Boo on me when you're when,
I
when
love
you're
it.
filming all the matches.
I love it. Larry, you are a gem. You really are. I cannot tell you what an honor it has been to have you here. I feel like having you here, I am talking to a true legend, a
Well,
true
thank
honest to
you.
God legend. You are amazing.
Just a fellow human being.
I know, but you know what? You're a fellow human being who has done something extraordinary. And I think that it should be acknowledged and it should be remembered. And I
Thank
am,
you.
Rich and I are both honored that you agreed to do this. I know I probably tortured you more than I should have, but I just am so grateful and so honored that you're here. We're going to let you go now so we don't have to keep torturing you.
Yeah, I hate to have to charge you if I keep talking.
Well, okay, then. In that case, we're going to say thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Rich. Nice meeting you and talking to you. And you too, Carmela. And I hope we all live happy ever after. And don't forget John Lamb Lash.
Oh, don't be surprised if you hear from me. I'll ask you. I have questions. Trust me. I'm going to look him up. Okay, I really am. But you take care of yourself and keep in touch. You know, you have my number. Keep in touch.
Yeah, I'm here. I got myself I went through hell with the AT&T. God, you call a business and you talk to some stupid computer.
Yeah.
And I got my new cell phone.
Oh, cool.
I just got a I don't do social media. I don't tweet. I don't deal with scammers and hackers and weirdos on pedophiles on TikTok. And I just talk to, human beings, family, friends.
That's all. Nothing wrong with that.
No. New phone, $30.
There you go. I can't go wrong with that, right?
No, it works.
God bless you. God bless you, Larry.
All
Thank
right,
you so
and
much.
Richard have a great night, and I'm going to go get something to eat.
You do that. God bless you. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Take care, Larry. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. What a guy. What an interview. He is amazing. Now he's going to go eat. I'm sorry, Rich. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. You got to just cut in. You got to just,
I got in what I wanted to get in.
Good,
so we're good.
Okay.
We
did get to ask some questions from. Go ahead.
Well, I don't like to interrupt. I don't like to interrupt. So,
I know, but you know what? In this business, you got to do it. You got to just say, "Shut up, Carmela, for a minute. I got a question." But I got to tell you. Good. I'm glad. Chuck, we did ask some of your questions. We didn't get a chance to ask them all. But it was a good interview. He's a great man, and he really is a legend. So hopefully everybody likes this program. Everything went well. We got to say our usual hellos to everybody. I don't want to forget, but like I said, we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which I'm grateful for. So our list of hellos is getting bigger and bigger. But I wanted to say a special hello to a new friend of our podcast. His name is James. He lives in DC. And he, as soon as he heard the podcast, he subscribed right away. Thank you to David for subscribing. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. Please listen to it, share it, subscribe to it, and hopefully, everybody will will keep listening, because that's what we're going to do. We have some really good guests coming up too. We're going to have Joel Goodhart back on, because the documentary for the TWA is going to be out, I believe, in July. So he's going to be on our show a couple times. We have already booked Patricia Summerland. She is also part of the CAC, Cauliflower Alley Club. We have already booked Karen McDaniel, who is Wahoo McDaniel's widow. We have already booked Kurt Von Hess's daughter, Paige. So we're on a roll, man. We're doing good. We really are. And I'm so grateful. I like to keep it to old school. That's why we're getting people's relatives and things like that. But any fan that wants to be on, just let us know. We love stories. We love anything old. And then we can compare it to the new stuff. As far as the wrestling, Rich and I, in between the times that Jeannie and I are on, we're going to do updates. We're going to do more updates again, like we have been doing in the past. One more time, Jeannie, we love you. Jeannie's having a procedure next week. Hopefully this will be the last one and it will do its job. We love you very, very much, and we're always thinking about you. So please get well. Okay. Rich, you're the bomb. That's all I got to say.
Oh, thank you. There's one thing I'd like to leave you with. One of my work colleagues who is now hooked on this podcast.
Oh, great.
I was telling him about this upcoming podcast with Larry Zbyszko, and he says to me, you and Carmela mesh so well together that Tony Khan needs to hire you both as consultants and book his AEW show.
I wish every time we do this and I post this podcast, on Twitter, I always at Tony Khan and at Will Ospreay. I do it every week. I'm just hoping and praying that one of them will say, who the hell is this lady who keeps bothering us? Let's listen to something, and see what he says, because I would love to meet them. And that would be awesome. I would be awesome and unbelievable. But that's what I do. I'm just trying to reach out to people, and you never know. You never know what could happen, and that's what I'm excited about. Yeah. So let's just keep doing.
Sure.
Just keep doing our thing. Say hello to Harriet again.
I will.
Tell her I love her. I don't know her that well, but I love her. And anybody else, we have to say hello to our regulars. There's Douglas, and there's Michelle, and there's Mike, and there's, oh my God, there's John, and there's Hector, and there's Dave Katz, and then there's Dave Shapiro, and then there's my little friend Johnny Westcott. He's going to have a birthday next week, so I have to remember to say happy birthday to him next week. I believe his birthday's on the 7th of May. And Andre the Giant's birthday's coming. His birthday is the 19th of May, and my friend Debbie's birthday is the 19th of May. So we're going to celebrate that too. Debbie, we love you very much, and she's doing very well. Just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. You're putting us on the map, and I love it. Rich, I love you, and we'll be in touch. Okay, so I'm going to close out, and we're going to say goodbye. How's that?
Sounds good. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.